We're now starting our new topic called straight lines. And what we have up here is a linear equation with two unknowns. It's a linear equation with two unknowns because there are two unknowns, y and x, and the power of y and x is both 1. Now, any linear equation with two unknowns can be represented by a straight line. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to plot the straight line that represents this linear equation with two unknowns. So in order to do that, the first thing we do is we rule a table. And the top row of our table are going to be the x values that we choose. So we are going to choose 3 x values. Now, we normally choose a negative x value, a 0 x value, and a positive x value. Once we've chosen those 3 x values, we're going to sub them into the linear equation here, and we're going to work out what the corresponding y values are. So the second row are going to be our y values. So let's go for -2, 0, and 2. So we have chosen those. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sub each of these x values into the equation here that the straight line represents. So when you're working out your first y value, you need to show all your working out. So we're going to start with x is -2 and we're going to chuck it into the equation. So we're going to get y equals, and then copy down the 2, and then replace x with -2. And we have to put it in brackets because the number that we've subbed in is negative and it also has a coefficient. And then copy down your -3. So we've just subbed a number into a formula or an equation. So what we do now is we do powers first. There aren't any powers here. Then we do brackets with more than one term. There aren't any brackets with more than one term. So the third thing we do is multiply. And again, how do you know it's being multiplied? Go back to the original equation and look for a term. Well, y is what we're finding. 2x is a term here. Remember, a term is the sign and the bit that comes immediately after it. So 2x is all one term, so they're being multiplied. So we multiply the 2 and the -2 together, and that's going to give us -4. And then copy down the -3. And then do your subtracting. So -4 subtract 3 is going to give us -7. So our first y value is going to be -7. So it's important, as I say, that you show your working out when you're calculating your first y value. When we calculate the next y values, we don't need to show our working out. We can just do it mentally. So we're now subbing x is 0 into the equation for this straight line. So we're going to get y equals 2 multiplied by 0, which is just 0, and then we're subtracting 3. So the y value is going to be -3. And then finally we're going to chuck x is 2 into our equation for the straight line. So we're going to get y equals 2 multiplied by 2, which is going to give us 4, and then we subtract 3, we're going to get 1. So we've now calculated the 3 corresponding y values. So what we do now is we work with each column of values in our table, and we plot each column of values as a point using x and y axes. So you then rule your x axis, your y axis, you'd make sure you put a scale in each of them, and then we'll plot the 3 points. So the first point we're going to plot is -2, -7. So we go along the x to -2, and then we go down to -7. Plot it with a little point and then a circle around it, and then repeat for the next 2 columns of values. So the next point we're going to plot is 0, -3. So we go along the x-axis to 0 and then move down to -3. And then the final point is 2, 1. So move along the x-axis to 2 and then up 1. And that's going to be our third point for the straight line. Now, if we've plotted the points correctly and we've worked them out correctly in our table, they should all lie in a perfect straight line. Now, when you're ruling your straight line through the points, the line just doesn't join the 3 points. It goes on forever. So make sure the line goes past the top point and beyond the bottom point. So again, ruler, sharp pencil, line it up carefully. Make sure the center of your pencil fits directly over the center of each of those points, and then rule a lovely straight line through them like that. And then what we have is the straight line that represents the linear equation y equals 2x minus 3. Now, the benefits of drawing a straight line to represent the linear equation is that you can use the straight line to work out a y value when you know the x value. So for example, let's say we wanted to work out the y value when x is -1. So what you could do is go to -1 on your x-axis there. You could then rule a vertical line down until it hits your straight line, like that. And then you could rule a horizontal line across and read off what the corresponding y value would be. So if we were to choose an x value of -1, the straight line is telling us that, well, when you sub in x as -1, you're going to get a y value of 5. Now, that's one way you could work out the y value when you know the x value, or the other way is you could just sub the x value into the equation. So if we sub x as -1 in here, we're going to get 2 multiplied by -1 is going to give you -2, and then subtract 3, you're going to get -5. So you can either use the straight line to calculate a y value, or you can just use the linear equation itself to calculate the y value.